Good morning and thanks for coming, and basically the goal today is just to go over some best practices for organizing and managing data in Vault. We'll walk through different areas where product data management, or PDM, can help your business, and based on what we discussed today, talk about what capabilities are best suited to your specific needs. I'm going to take about 15 minutes, probably a little bit less, going over some common challenges. Then James Jung is going to show you the actual Autodesk Vault product. But before we get started, I wanted to share our contact information. There have been a lot of times where I've watched webinars or presentations and wound up with questions later, and my problem is I always keep forgetting to get the contact information that's usually shown at the end. So we're going to be a little bit different and show it at the beginning, and I believe we'll show it again at the end. So we'll just give you a minute or so to write our contact information down for questions later. Okay, the first thing I like to do is to make sure everybody is level set on the meaning of product data management. In my experience, people generally have different views on what PDM is and what it can be used for. So for this particular conversation, I don't know why it's jumping here. Let's just define PDM as a strategy for managing your product-related data and information along with your engineering processes all in one single location. So PDM really comes down to three things, or three categories. Data, which is all about managing the files and metadata that make up the source code for your product. People, which is about the challenges your engineering and non-engineering staff have while developing the product. And process, which is about the challenges with maintaining standard procedures throughout the product development. Each of these, as you can see, are broken down into more acute problems that you probably experience on a regular basis. So let's just start by taking a look at securing your intellectual property. Your design data is essentially the source code for your products. The CAD files, drawings, documentation, specifications, and every other piece of data are all extremely valuable. Having said that, many companies we speak with don't have firm control over it. In a report conducted by TechClarity, they found that nearly 1 in 3 companies have lost important design data. And it happens more and more the more complex the product actually is. So let's explore a few of the root causes of lost intellectual property to see if any of these sound familiar to you. First off, product data is sometimes not stored in a central location. Bits and pieces are on each engineer's workstation or on various shared network folders. Permissions are not in place for accessing, editing, or viewing files. So anybody that can get to one of those shared folders is able to do whatever they desire. Backups are not performed, which makes all your data vulnerable to loss if there's a hardware failure. Engineers that are working on the same file end up overwriting each other's work. Some of these probably sound familiar. Next, under data, we have capturing and reusing engineering knowledge that's already in place. Capturing and reusing engineering knowledge is an area where most people understand the benefits, but is not always practiced. According to TechClarity's research, 29% of engineers say that reusing data is a significant challenge as they are developing a product. Going beyond just reusing data, many engineers don't have a way to revisit past engineering decisions to understand the rationale behind them. For instance, why was a change to a certain design needed? And what approach did they take to implementing that change? The causes of knowledge and design reuse challenges are pretty straightforward. Many companies are using paper-based documentation for key engineering processes such as change and release. Information is only valuable if you can find it, and the filing cabinet alone is oftentimes enough of a barrier to keep people from reusing the aggregated knowledge inside. The process of copying design files is inefficient, which can easily dissuade engineers from doing it. Time is wasted repairing broken links or renaming files, so it may be quicker or less frustrating to just redesign something new. Ensuring engineering standards are being followed is essential, but when following them relies upon the discipline of the individuals on the team, they may be intentionally or unintentionally unused. Additional information about products such as volumes currently used, prices, suppliers, ease of manufacturability and assembly, and more is difficult to find, but could help engineers determine whether it is better to reuse or to redesign. So let's move on to the second area of PDM, which is your people. This may be a sensitive subject for some, but it's worth exploring. Wasted engineering productivity is one of the most common reasons companies begin considering a PDM strategy. Tech Clarity found that engineers waste an average of 15% of their time managing design data. The worst offenders wasted the equivalent of 1 day per week or more for each engineer on staff. If we do the math, 15% of the total hours put in a full year equals 312 hours. Now, I've been in this industry for a really long time, and I still find it surprising that a lot of engineering managers don't even know what their burden rate is. And basically what burden rate is usually calculated using the annual wages, benefits, software, hardware, even the electricity needed to run the machines and the heating and air in the office. You take all of that and you take that cost and you divide it into the actual hours put in for a full year. So if you use that formula, what would you say you're losing? Let's just say that you calculated your burden rate at $50 an hour. That's really low, but we'll use that as an example. It's just the cost of doing business, right? But if you had a PDM solution in place, it could save the company up to $15,600 per year that could be used in other areas of improvement. A lot of you on the call today already have the basic Vault, which if you're not using it, you probably should be. Collaboration is an essential part of the development process, but nearly half of all companies surveyed by Tech Clarity said it was a significant challenge. There are collaboration issues internal to the engineering teams, such as working on wrong or outdated data. But just as common are challenges with working with other departments inside the company as well as outside the company, such as customers or suppliers. So let's take a look at the primary sources of collaboration issues. Engineers often don't have visibility into what other engineers are working on at any given time. Files are simultaneously edited and data gets overwritten. When team members outside of engineering cannot access the data they need to perform their role, it can slow down development and, in worst case scenarios, result in the wrong file being used. Quotes, specs, maintenance reports, operating manuals, field service reports, assembly guides, inspection reports, service bulletins, and product feedback reports. All these are items that are managed separate from the design data. Sharing data outside of the organization usually happens by email, FTP, or services like Dropbox that are entirely entirely uncontrolled by you. So we've touched on the data and we went over the people. Now let's dive into the process now. PDM is more than managing your CAD files and helping people collaborate and work efficiently. The second phase is looking at the engineering workflows and processes that are centered around that data, such as managing change, design reviews, project management, and bill of materials. 43% of companies in the Tech Clarity survey stated that they had challenges with managing change. Another 29% said that they've had challenges in managing design projects. These engineering processes are essential, and managing them effectively can have high returns. So let's just take a look at some of these challenges. The source of process inefficiency is often highlighted by the inability for non-engineering staff to participate. For design reviews, especially, getting guidance from multiple points of view can be extremely valuable, but often is not done because it's too challenging to provide the necessary data and collect their feedback. Difficult to interpret, from a project management perspective, when multiple versions of a design file exist on shared folders, it is nearly impossible to understand whether one has been released and what changes occurred from one to the next. Often, bill of materials are manually managed in a spreadsheet that is disconnected from all the design data and business systems that rely on it. Sometimes managers cannot monitor overall project status because there is no central place to review progress of all the design or all of the data being created. So there you have it, the three areas of product design management. You have your data, your people, and your process. Are there any questions so far? I don't see any questions, so we'll go on, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to James Jung, and we'll take a look at Vault itself.
So thank you again, Dennis. Once again, my name is James Jung, and I will be presenting the second half of this webinar to you. So these are the topics that we'll be covering today: easy and quick searching, teamwork and collaboration, revision management, reuse of data, scalability, and automation. Also, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask any. I am checking the questions right now, and looks like we are good. So Dennis has defined product data management as a strategy for managing your product, related information and engineering processes all in one spot. So if you guys really haven't realized it, more than likely, most of you guys are using some sort of data management system right now. Whether it's storing your CAD data on a network folder, or an Excel sheet to manage your process, or maybe a binder to hold your change orders. All of these options do work to some degrees, but it won't work as well as Vault or other data management that is similar to Vault. So easy and quick searching. Dennis has mentioned that engineers and designers spend about 15% of their time managing data, and a lot of that time is looking for files and making sure that the engineer is opening the correct version of that file. So Autodesk Vault Autodesk Vault helps you quickly search for files in a matter of seconds, along with its version history and other metadata. So to make things clear, a version is totally different from a revision. A version is an iteration of a file. So every time a user checks in or checks out a file, that is a version, while a revision history is a file that is going to a particular workflow to get the project manufactured or released. So essentially, Vault basically keeps track of both revision history and version history. So Vault also has an advanced find. The advanced find helps you search for system properties such as check.by or even custom property that is important to your company and save that search for you. So what I'm going to do here is open up Vault and show you guys this quick search and advanced search capabilities here. So I have Vault open here. And if the quick search box is located right here in the top right corner, so if I type in the word web, it quickly finds the files with the file name that has web on it, as you can see. If I scroll down the list here, there's a couple of files without the word web on the file name, but if I look into the properties of that, the description has the word web in it. Along with this part here, I believe the description has the word web in it. And over here, if you look into the properties, again, the description does not have the word web in it. But if you go over to the history where the versions are, there was a version that was originally called web. There was a rename process taking place. So under the comment, there is a web word on here. That's why Vault listed that file under this quick search. So next, I'm going to show you guys the advanced search here. Once again, you could launch the advanced search by hitting this find icon, or you could select this down arrow and hit find. It opens up a little dialog box where you can search by custom properties or your system properties. What I'm going to do here is search for the file name. Contains web again. I'm going to select the word web. And I'm going to search for materials that has the word steel. When I do that search here, it shows you the list of files with the word web along with the material that will be shown here. That has steel, as you guys can see. So there is noise here. So teamwork and collaboration. Vault basically uses the check-in and check-out system where when a user has a file checked out, basically no one else could be able to check that file out and modify it. But in the same case, other users will be able to open and access that version for whatever reason. To go further, say company XYZ is in the front loader business, and a customer has contacted you and they are wanting to change a scoot size from a 6-foot to an 8-foot front loader. Along with that, say they are wanting the cab of that front loader to be enclosed instead of open. So the engineering manager can distribute that scoot work to a user, then distribute the cab work to another user. These two users will be able to open up the frame of that front loader so that they can use that as a reference to design the scoot and the cab at the same time. So this allows great collaboration between the different users without disrupting each other's work. The frame assembly also will not be checked out, will not be overwritten unless one of the users checks that file out and make a change to that. So next, we're going to go over revision control. So most companies do have some sort of engineering workflow. Vault calls it life cycles. Your life cycles can be really complex, basically where the purchasing or procurement department will need to check out during the engineering process. Or it could be as simple as a work in progress review and release date. The great thing about Vault is that your workflows or your life cycles is customizable to your current workflow, and it will not force you to change your process at all, although there is some default life cycles in place. It also forces your users to follow your I guess, workflow standards when it comes to the release process. So if you look in this screenshot that I just provided here, whoops. When a file goes through that life cycle, it automatically steps a revision as needed, and it will basically sync back to the file property as well. So if the file went through a revision process inside of Vault, that revision letter will be written back to the file, as you can see in here in this screenshot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Vault again and show you how simple it is to open up a revision. So I'm just going to go to the shortcut real quick here. And all I have to do to change a state is right click here and change that state. And another dialog box would open up. And from here, you could change that state to basically in review or to release. With that being said, you could, by default, it selects all the children and its members here, or you could deselect these as well. So that is your choice on whatever your workflow is. And the process is really quick here. So I'm just going to change this to review. Hit OK. And there's all the files and this children being transitioned over to review. Do we have any questions here? So we do have some questions. So the first question is, do you have an access-based search or SQL? And Autodesk Vault uses a SQL-based search here. And then another question is, can Vault manage native SolidWorks files the same way it managed Inventor files? Are there any limitations with SolidWorks files compared to Inventor? So basically, with SolidWorks, there is a tab within the SolidWorks application. There's a SolidWorks integration where you could check in and check out files. The only downfall to that is you won't be able to map properties. But Autodesk Vault allows content searching as well, so that will help out on that. The next question is, can you go back to a previous revision? So if you are on, I believe, Vault 2015, or if you're using to a Vault 2015, 2016, and 2017, yes, you could roll back a revision. Only one step, but yes, you could definitely roll back a revision. That was one of the features that a lot of the users out in the Autodesk family that was asking. So they had put that in place. So is there any other questions? All right, I'll move forward. So the next on the agenda is data reuse. So Dennis has mentioned earlier that 29% of the users have significant challenges reusing existing data. So with the copy design feature inside of Vault, your designers or engineers will save hours, even days on complex assemblies. So basically it helps you hours, like I mentioned, and even days with the copy design functionality. You could copy existing data on designs, including all related files and documentations in a single step. You could set up multiple assemblies in a single copy operation, automatically rename copy files and standardize naming schemes. So Vault, the copy design tool is a standalone application. It can be opened from the Vault or the Windows Explorer. And it will allow you to copy to a certain folder or replace a file or exclude or even reuse that same design. So I'm going to open up Inventor, or not Inventor, but Vault again. And I'm going to show you guys this copy design feature here. So as I have mentioned in the PowerPoint, you could launch it from the Windows Explorer, or you could simply just execute that command from the Vault. If you right-click on the file itself, there should be a copy design feature right here. I'm going to select on that. Then a little dialog box should open up, and let me move that over. And from here, this is where you could expand out and copy your designs. As I mentioned in the PowerPoint here, let me you could basically copy. You could copy all if you wanted to right here, or you could just copy the top node, or maybe you just want to copy to a different folder. You could create a new folder here if you wanted to. Just call this test here. Then you could copy, or you could replace a file where Vault will open up the file on the Explorer here, and where you could select a different file if you wanted to. You could reuse that copy as well. So there's a lot of different options here. So with that being said, you could use a different, you could add a prefix here or a postfix to this, or maybe you want to use a numbering scheme. What you could do is Shift and select and right-click here, and you could use a numbering scheme like the sequential numbering scheme I'm going to assign to this. So all you have to do is basically hit this execute button to make a copy of that, or you could add additional assemblies here, or this dialog box will open up again and select other assemblies such as this, or maybe I want to go outside of this webinar folder and select a copy of this file right here. So you have a lot of different options here, and all you have to do is hit this create copy, and it goes out to the server and makes that copy. And as you can tell, it's moving pretty fast, and this is one of the great reasons why you will save a lot of time. Then if I go back into the Vault itself and go into the test environment, it shows you that I made a copy of one of those files here. I did make a copy of the assembly, which should be listed at the bottom right here as well. It's going to the same folder. All right, do you guys have any questions with this copy design feature inside of Vault? So I do have one question here. What type of files will Vault recognize? So Vault recognizes all native Autodesk products like DWG, Inventor, DWF or DXFs. It also recognizes SolidWorks files, any Word files, Microsoft Word files and whatnot. So it recognizes mostly every different file. It might not have the integration to it, but it does store any type of file inside of Vault. Is there any other questions here? Yes, so the other question is, can drawing review and approval comments be captured inside of Vault? And yes, so you could, when you make a transition, there will be a comment field and where you can make a comment itself on that file. Or you could open up that DWF file and make a comment on that DWF file as well and attach it back to the that part file or assembly file or whatnot. Any other questions? All right, well, I'm going to go over to the next topic then. So scalable. Autodesk Vault is very scalable. We can set up your Vault. If you have a small shop, we can set up a single site where the Autodesk data management server, file store, and database is on one server. Or maybe your company is regional. Say your company has multiple branches in Texas. We can set up a replication of just the file store and have the database on the publishing site. So where the file store is being replicated throughout maybe 3 or 4 different sites in the state of Texas. Or we could set up vaults globally where you could have a fully replicated file store, database, or numerous of different servers throughout the world. With that being said, over here at D3, we have configured single sites to multi-site vaults that is fully replicated. One of our customers have 9 different servers that is replicated throughout the whole world, and it has 6 different vaults on those servers as well. So any questions regarding the replication or how scalable Vault is? Gonna launch the question again. Let me see here. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So I am going to move on. So next on the agenda is CAD to ERP. Here at D3, we use a third-party application called by Cool Orange called PowerGate to push and pull data from your ERP. But we could also build customized interfaces for you as well, or possibly integrate Vault and Fusion Lifecycle, which is a Autodesk PLM system. With PowerGate here, important properties can be read from your ERP through the Vault application. You could manually push BOM, bill of materials to your ERP during a lifecycle transition, or maybe you just want to manually push that, and we could do that as well. So the next on the agenda is Cool Orange. It's PowerJobs, basically creating PDFs. So Cool Orange has also developed an application called PowerJobs that is built into Vault. With PowerJobs, users can create PDFs on a lifecycle transition, or send it to a network folder, or both. PowerJobs could also send email notifications to certain users when a lifecycle transition has taken place. Also, PowerJobs could publish other files as well, like DWF files, JPEG, BMP file, tips. So whatever it needs, PowerJobs is pretty powerful, and we can implement that for you guys as well. So that's all I have for you guys. Do we have any questions? If you don't have any questions right now or have questions further down the line, my email here is listed along with Dennis. So let me check your questions real quick here. We do have one. In the automated process, could you automatically export 2D to PDF and 3D to IGES whenever a file is approved or released? I am not sure on that. I am pretty sure that it is possible, but I would like to confirm on the PDF to IGES. Nicholas, I will shoot you an email once I find that information out, if that's okay with you. Any other questions? Well, if you guys don't have any questions, thank you for attending. I'm sorry that I was 5 minutes over. Once again, thank you, and you guys have a great weekend.